Discussion, a New Orleans Saints podcast where we talk about all Saints news, opinions, and reactions. So first, before we get into some Saints news and a recap of Saints Cardinals, I just want to announce that we're going to be moving to a 2-episode-a-week schedule with an episode Monday and an episode Friday. The Monday episode is going to be a recap of, the Sunday game or the Saturday game, like this week's case, and then the Friday episode is going to be a preview of the weekend's game. So I think, that's a really good schedule. Nice, it spaces everything out so we don't have one giant episode. We have two nice-sized episodes. So I think that's just better. And, usually look at it, I think it's just, for a Friday, I think that's a good day to have a preview. Monday's a good recap the day after. Just get all the, opinions out and the news out. Probably Friday will be a little longer episode, so that's going to be the news from the week of practice as well. So, whatever injuries, if we had anyone, trades, whatever, that will probably be in the Friday episode, not in the Monday episode. So, I think this is going to be a good way just to schedule the podcast for future, weeks and just, for this upcoming season. So, with all that said, I think it's time to get into some Saints news. So first, defensive end rookie Marcus Davenport is now practicing again, and head coach Sean Payton said he would get reps in Saturday's preseason game against the Chargers. So the rookie is now returning from a pulled muscle, and the Saints are eased him back like they did with Lattimore in 2017. I think it's a good job by the Saints to be patient with Davenport when a lot of people wanted him to see him play and think he's already a bust just because he got injured once. I think that's just crazy, but I think the Saints did a really good job. Wait until he's fully healthy, and I don't really see what he got. They're doing a little overtime work with him, which I think is really good, and we'll see how he can do it against the opponent, against the Chargers. I think he's really ready to go, and especially with the Alex Okafor injury, where he could miss maybe a first week of the season, but I don't even think of that. But anyways, we'll get into that later, but Davenport, I think he's just ready to go. It gives us great depth there, and I think he could be a really good third down presence, get some sacks. I could see him getting, I said 8 sacks earlier. I could say 6 to 10. 10 would be amazing, really high, probably rookie of the year status, and I think 6 is just a good number, I think. But I think he can go as high as 10 if he gets starts. And if he really gets going, I really think he can do that. He's a great talent. You can just see all his physical attributes. And then, with Ryan Nielsen coaching him up, I think we can have a really good season with him. I mean, he had 8.5 sacks last year at UTSA. I know it's not the best school, with, going up against the best talent with other schools. It's not a Power 6 conference or anything. But, 8.5 sacks in only 12 games, 11 games, how many ever he played. So he was really good there. And also, Saints, they were raving about him. They still are, Nielsen and Sean Payton. So, but Saints, it's really big that, they anticipate, him to make a debut unless he has any setbacks, but I don't think so. So he will probably make his debut there. So on to our next set of news, which is defensive end Alex Okafor suffers a bone bruise and a knee sprain in practice. So that was last week, but we didn't get to cover it in the Wednesday episode, so now we'll cover it now. So it looks much worse than it actually was. I mean, you just look at it, it looked like he had tore ACL out for the season, and that would have been his season. So I think he really dodged a bullet. Last year he did have 4.5 sacks for this team in an abbreviated season as well. So I think it's really big that he dodged the bullet and he's ready to come back. I mean, you look at Cam Jordan said he would only be out a week, so I think he kind of slipped because it's like a spoiler kind of that he said that Alex Okafor is going to come back whatever it is, like a week or so. So now we're looking at a week for him, which I think is really big. And this team also has a ton of depth, so if he misses one game, I don't think it's that big of a deal. They have Davenport coming back, Trey Hendrickson is just looking really good, and they do have Muhammad who he looked pretty good, and they also have George Johnson, players like that. And then they also have some players that play really good, like Elliott and stuff like that play good in the first preseason game. So I think that's really big. So I hope he comes back, for the first game. But, if he can't, I think we have enough depth to really hold that position for one game. So on to our third set of news is that Saints safety Ricky Jefferson tore his ACL and is now done for the season. So it's sad to hear because he's a hometown kid from LSU. But, he was going to be a deep backup special teams. He's just trying to make this team by that way. He actually made a special teams tackle in the game against the Jaguars. But, he got not carted off. He just walked off the field. But I guess, tore ACLs, they, you can walk. It's just you can't run or anything, make cuts in that. So, I guess it's a little of a surprise. Not that big of a surprise. But anyway, I think it's just, a little sad to hear because, he just was looking to showcase his skills, looking to make a team, and now he'll have to wait until 2019 to really do that, which whatever team it's with the Saints or another team. But, I think that's it for our news segment, and now on to the recap of Saints against the Cardinals. So this game was played in the Dome. and the Saints lost 20-15 against the Cardinals. So just some notes and just, coming into the game. So we had, Drew Brees, Cam Jordan, Alvin Kamara were all healthy scratches. Alex Okafor and Marcus Davenport both did not play as well. So we'll just go and take a half-by-half recap as we did last week with the Jaguars, and I think that worked out well, so we'll just do that again. So first, this game was started by Taysom Hill. I mean, he had a really tough game, as many Saints fans know. We'll start with the stats. He had 11 for 15, 68 yards, 2 picks. He also had 3 fumbles, and 2 were picked up by the Cardinals, and they were lost. So, obviously he had a really tough game, but we'll go right into it just series by series for the first half. So the game started with, great 40-yard kick return by Brandon Tate. It looked like this game was just going. The dome got loud even in a preseason game, which is crazy. I think it's sold out in a preseason game. That's just crazy because, you just look at, I just know like the Meadowlands, they never sell out for preseason, so that's kind of interesting. They started off with Mark Ingram, who just looked amazing in that first drive. I mean, he ran the ball. They got right over midfield on the first play because they were run by Ingram, and he led the way, really the whole way, just run after run. And then in, Taysom Hill's, only second pass, he got picked off. So I think it went right through. Cameron Meredith's hands got popped up. But, to me, it was like no big deal, whatever. It was, Cameron Meredith trying to get that chemistry back, but we couldn't make we missed the play. That's a big opportunity missed. We had the ball going into the red zone, but that wasn't Hill's fault. He shouldn't really get on himself that much. Also in that drive, Jonathan Williams was really good too. So it was fine. A lot of good things. The offensive line looked amazing. The starting offensive line looked like they were just controlling the line scrimmage for everything. They had the full line back with Unger, Pete, Armstead, Ramczyk. They all looked really good, and Larry Walford. So they all looked really good. But, the Saints defense held. Defensive line played much better. Got a lot of pressure. You look at, even though Cam Jordan didn't play, you had Trey Hendrickson, who just looked amazing. He looks like he can really maybe take a job opposite Cam Jordan, really just rush the passer really good. Also, Mitchell Lowen also played really good as well. So I think, the first series, it was a really good job. They went 3-0 with the Cardinals. So I think, we stopped them after the turnovers. I think that was really good. Coming back to the second possession, we ran the ball good again. Taysom Hill also completed a couple passes. Jonathan Williams was the big runner. He had a 20-yard run in there. But then when the Saints, they were just about to enter the red zone again, Hill fumbled the snap, and Arizona took over and recovered. And that was just, another turnover when you're in, deep in their territory. So, here's the thing. If we had Breeze, I think those would have been 2 touchdowns or at least 2 field goals, and we'd be winning. It would be a different, way the game was going. But, it was 0-0 after those 2 possessions. That's why I think Hill, he may not be the best backup for this team because he's a boom or bust player. And, just those types of drives, you got to finish them. After the defense, they really, even like 1 turnover I'd be fine with, and he finished the second one and we were up 7-0. I think that'd be better than, 2 fumbles in the, other teams inside the 30. I think that's really big. And, reason that I think and then just, for him, it just compiled then after that. But the Saints defense stopped him again, they stopped Bradford again. They got pressure on him. The secondary played much better, which I think was just really big. All they were letting up is little check down throws. The linebackers really good as well, stopping the run. So it really looked good. The defense, first team defense looked really good, in my opinion, those first 2 drives. I mean, 0 points, so that was really good. So then Hill comes back out, and it was a 3-and-out really quick. He had a couple of screen passes to Mark Ingram that went nowhere. I think Ingram also had a run for a negative 2 yards. So that was just really not good for him. They punted it right away. And then finally in the third possession, Bradford broke through. I think the defense was just getting tired. They were on the field basically the whole quarter, and they gave up a touchdown to David Johnson, who ran the ball in from 9 yards. That was to start the second quarter. So I think that was just really, the defense played good in my opinion, much better than last week. It was also some starters were starting to come out in that third drive. But I think overall the defense played really good, even though that first, because we should have been up 14-7. I think we'd been up 14-0 because the defense, I feel, those drives wouldn't have been on the field as long. So, but you just look at it, and I really think that the defense played really good, much better than last week. So I think that's a really big plus for this team. But then, Hill comes back out, and then on his first throw of the second quarter, he throws a pick on a deep ball to Ginn. Ginn didn't make a play trying to, play defensive back for a little bit. He didn't even try to bat it down or anything, so it was an easy pick. It wasn't a good throw by any means, But, I think he's just, that was another turnover. Now that's 3 turnovers, and now it's starting to compile. You see just, 4 possessions, 3 turnovers, starting to compile on yourself. Hill is obviously self-esteem way down. And then Josh Rosen comes in for the Cardinals rookie, and he just lights it up. Another touchdown, now you're down 14-0, and now it's really starting to compile on yourself. But then Hill comes in, and he actually does get a field goal. He actually had a really clutch play, 43-yard run on a 3rd and 3. It looks like his day was then going to turn around. It looked like he was going to come back and really just be okay. That's what it looked like to me. I think he was going to. I really thought after that play, I think they were going to drive down, score a touchdown, be down 14-7, and, you get out of there maybe at halftime being, 17-7 or maybe even like 14-14, and you'd be fine. But then, after that, he has this great run, and then he fumbles the ball. And then you lose, 15 yards. You have a 2-yard loss on a screen pass to Ginn, and then you have to salvage a field goal, 52-yarder, which was made in great fashion. But I think that's just not good. You have Rosen come back. He scores another field goal. At least their defense held him a little bit. Secondary was still getting torched, in my opinion. But we were still getting a lot of pressure, so I think that was really, really good. And then we come back out, and then we're going down the field again, 2-minute drill. Feels like, we're going to be good. He throwing the ball. We had some great passes to Traquan Smith, Austin Carr, and he also had a great pass to Dan Arnold. And it looked like everything was going to go good. Looks like this team was going to score a touchdown. He got down to like the 12-yard line inside the red zone, and then he fumbles, strip sack. And then they also return it to the 50 to make it even worse. The defense held and did a great job to, cause a missed field goal. But then you're looking at, at the end of 2, it's now 17-3. The Saints could easily be up like, we see easily score 24 points there. Hill had a lot of drives, could not finish them. Couldn't finish him for the life of himself. And I really think, obviously, he's a boomer bust player, had a big bust day, so whatever you want to put into that. But it definitely was not, a good start for him. And, and then obviously after half, he was done. Coming into the second half, though, the Saints defense settled in. They only gave up 3 points the rest of the way. They looked great. Devereaux Lawrence looked amazing, getting pressures on basically every play. It looked like Trey Henderson was great, Mitchell Lowen was great, and also the secondary was strong too, and especially after Rosen came out. They were lights out, it seemed, and they did really, really good. And then, but on the offensive side, which I think we'll talk about a lot, is Tom Savage. He was game manager. Again, did nothing special. He didn't turn the ball over, which is really good, but he didn't try to throw the ball downfield. He used to do little check downs, and whatever. They got a field goal out of it in one of his 3 possessions, but it just was nothing special. He got just as many points as Taysom Hill. So I feel like you look at that and it just was nothing special. Did he hurt the defense? At least he gave the defense good field position to play off, and gave the Cardinals offense bad field position. But you should look at it, and this team did not do what they needed to do on offensive, with Tom Savage. It's not even like he was playing with that bad players. He still had Traquan Smith out there and stuff like that, but it just was not good enough. And then after that, you have JT Barrett comes in. He looks great. He only had 2 drives, and he scored in both, a field goal and a touchdown. Put up 9 points. Obviously, he tried to go for 2 once. It didn't work out at the end of the game. But, you just look at it. He played really, really good. That was his best pro performance either in training camp or in, a preseason game. He had a 12-yard touchdown run. He had some great throws to Traquan Smith. He had a couple running throws to Austin Carr. I think it was really good. So that was a bright spot at the end of the game. But all in all, we did lose 20-15. So, just look at it. We're just going to look at, the bad news and then the good news. I think we'll start with the bad news and we'll leave off on a good note. So, first, the bad news, obviously, the QBs. Now you got to look. If Drew Brees gets hurt, I think we're really in big trouble. You got to look to either, if he ever got hurt, you would have to come in and sign free agency. I would just sign one now because I really don't think Tom Savage is the guy. Jay Cutler's still sitting out there. And I know he's not a good starter, but I think he could be a serviceable backup if he's willing to do it for, but I don't really want to give him that much money either. So, maybe, because I think Tom Savage making $3 million, and we have $3 million. I'll give him maybe $4 million for 1 year. Maybe he comes back and does that. Or, because I really think he'd be better than Tom Savage. Because Tom Savage, he's not made any, big plays, not even tried to make big plays. And I think he could. I think he's just scared to throw interceptions, because that's what he did last year. So I think he's really got to, he's got to settle down, see what he does in the third preseason game. Because I really want to see what he does more than Taysom Hill. Because I think the jury's kind of out on Taysom Hill right now, because he's a boomer bust player. I think we can either get, he could play great in the third preseason game, and everyone would be like, okay, it was one bad game. But I really feel like, he's a lot like Tim Tebow, Taysom Hill, and I really feel like the way he plays, makes a lot of plays, big playmaker, but his fundamentals are not good. So if you want to fix that, I think it's going to take some time. And he could actually, I think, become a serviceable quarterback in this league, but it's going to take, I think, 2 or 3 years. And if the Saints have that time for, Breeze to play and Taysom Hill to sit behind him, I think he could be an okay QB. He's got a lot of intangibles that can make him a really good player. He's got 4.4 speed. He does beat linebackers down the field to the spot. So he has a lot of great things about him, but some not so good things. And then if you're just looking at Tom Savage, I think he could be pretty good too if he just tries to make some plays, take some risk. I think he could be a good player too, but I haven't seen that. So if I don't see that after the 4th preseason game, the 3rd preseason game, I would probably cut Savage and then try to bring in another player. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't cut Hill, and we'll get into that later because obviously his special teams ability. So also another bad news is the secondary depth after our starting lineup: Lattimore, Crawley, Williams, and Coleman and Bell. They got lit up by Rosen. Lit up. I think he had 3 drives. He scored in all 3. And I think he just looked really good. So you're looking at that and you're saying, if any of these guys get hurt, that's why we brought in a lot of depth with Marcus Williams, the cornerback, and Nelson, who we brought in last week. So maybe they're still trying to get, a feel for the defense. But, they didn't really look that good either. So I think you're just looking at, I think you got to get some more depth there. And, hopefully none of those guys go down. But I think we actually have a good, we have 3 great cornerbacks. And I think Arthur Mulet he's really been great, I think, actually, in that backup role. So I think he could be really good too. And then also I think JT Hardy as a safety could be pretty good too. Not JT Hardy, Justin Hardy, excuse me. So with all that said, I think we should get to some good news from the game. And I think there was actually more good news than bad news, even though we lost, because I feel like we lost just because of the quarterbacks. If we had Breeze in there, I think we would have, crushed, because I think we would have scored the first 2 possessions, and it'd been 14-0. We're coming out strong. I think Hill maybe would have came in then after, probably played maybe a little better, even if Savage came in. I think we would have won the game. If we started off strong with 2 touchdowns, or even a touchdown in the field goal, I think we would have won the game. So with that said, I think we should get into the good news, and that's the running backs. Mark Ingram looked amazing, as well as Jonathan Williams. The vision to get through holes was just great. I mean, Ingram he really showed that he could, he's going to be fine after the suspension. I think you really look at it, he said he's going to work extremely hard, and he's going to, come back and be successful there. And then also, you just look at Jonathan Williams, who really duplicated his performance, especially with the first team. He played great. He was actually the only running back besides Ingram to play with the first team, so I think that was really big. Also, West, Vereen, and Scott looked really good as well. So I think we're going to be okay at running backs. I look at it without Ingram for 4 games. I think with just Williams, Scott, Vereen, and West, I think it's going to be really good. I think we're going to have a nice tandem there to go along with obviously Kamara, the number 1 running back, and I think we'll be just fine there. And also another big good news is that the offensive line looked amazing. The starters looked great. They were running up huge holes. Finally had our starting 5 out there, and they looked amazing. The physicality, they controlled the line of scrimmage and really set the tone, for owning the line of scrimmage, because we did own the line of scrimmage the whole game. I was listening to, obviously the Saints broadcast said that. And even I was listening also to the Cardinals broadcast, and they said that as well. The Saints really control the line of scrimmage, because they did, and that started with the offensive line. Same with the defensive line. Defense was much better than last week. Defensive line was getting pressure, which they really weren't last week. Now they really were. Even though the starters were out, you had Trey Anderson, Mitchell Lowen, and guys like that. Also the linebackers were great. Anzalone, Manti Te'o, Demario Davis, AJ Klein, and those guys. I think they really played good. So I mean, I really feel like and also the back end was really good too. Lattimore played much better. Same with Crawley and Williams. So they played pretty good too. I mean, to me, just the overall is from this game, I feel like we would have won this game if Breeze would have started it off. I think we would have scored a couple of TDs, and then that would have been the start of the game. I think even maybe if Savage played, I think we started off. I think we would have won the game. So, I mean, I think that just shows that, Taysom Hill had a big off day, but we controlled most of the other aspects of the game besides QB. I think that's what, shows what a QB can do for you. But, just those, turnovers, when you have, 4 turnovers in one half, that's going to kill you. You're not going to win games like that. If we didn't turn the ball over 4 times, we would have won the game. And I think that's a lot on Hill. If we had Breeze, he probably would have not turned the ball over at all, maybe 1 turnover, and we would have won. I think that just says a lot because, we did control the line of scrimmage. Our defense played much better. Even our offense played really good. We ran the ball really good. We had, Traquan Smith also had another really good game. So I think that's just, I think that's what it is. I really feel like, if we had our starters in, I think we would have won the game. It really only our QB because it's not even like our backups played really bad overall. I think it was just Taysom Hill and Tom Savage. Not like Savage, but Savage wouldn't have turned the ball over. We probably would have scored 6 points or something like that. But, yeah, I think we'd have probably won the game, probably something like 24-20 like we did last time, if Hill just wasn't that bad, because he was not good. So now on to our Who Dat Nation fan questions. So our first question comes from Zoe D109 on Twitter, and she asked, did you think that Taysom Hill just had an off day? Also, do you think he's still going to make a shot at making the team with special teams? And also, are we being too critical of Taysom Hill just for one game? So here, the answer to that, I feel like, I think Hill's a boomer bust player. Obviously, this was his bust game. He obviously did not have he had an off day. I think his potential of that boom player, I think he could be really good. I really do. His playmaking ability is strong. He runs a 4.4. He does a lot of good attributes, but his, just technique and fundamentals are not strong at this moment. You just look at it. I think that's what all his playmaking ability, which makes him a really good special teams player. But just his QB skills are just not that strong right now. Just as throwing the ball, he holds the ball out way too much. That's why he gets stripped a lot. So I think, that's not a good thing. And then also, you just look at it, he just, I feel like, he also had a great drive in the, game before. So that was kind of like his boom. He could be that good. And I really feel like, if he progress him for a couple of years, he sits behind Drew Brees, he gets better. And I think he could be, a good average QB in this league. I don't think he'll be amazing. I think he could be like a Tim Tebow caliber type QB that can maybe win playoff games like Tim Tebow did. Obviously he's not going to be the best, thrower, but, with his legs, with some good throwing ability, I think he could be a really good player in this league. He definitely has potential of that. But he is 27. So, if he's going to, take the starting job at 30, what is he only going to play at 33, 34? So I think that still could be a problem. But, I think he could still be good. He's definitely going to make the team from special teams, answering the second question. His ability to run a 4.4, he could block punts. He almost came close to blocking a punt in the first preseason game. And the way he could, go tackle players on the other end is really good. The only bad thing is injury, but I don't think it's a problem because I think we're going to have another QB on the roster. So I think it'll be okay. And then also, are we being too critical of Taysom Hill after one game? I think we are. Just to be quite honest with you, it's one game. If he can come out next week and then throw 100 yards, run for 50, have another big game like he did in the first game. Obviously, he took a big step back this week, but if he could just take a big step forward this week, I think he's that boom or bust player. And I think at the moment, if he would ever come in to start, a regular season game, we would have to live with the ups and downs and then hope that he doesn't make that big mistakes. And I think he could be that player as one game. Let's see what he can do in the third preseason game, fourth preseason game. I think he could be a really good player, in that moment. And, as he progresses, I think he's going to get better. I think he's worth progressing, in my opinion, if they really feel like he's going to win. I feel like he can, win with a very good team around him. Is that worth progressing and using 3 years of your time with that? Or do you want to draft another QB if you're really sold on one? So, if I see a QB in the draft that I'm really sold on, I pick him. But, if you don't, I think you're right with Taysom Hill for a little bit, see what he's got, and, see what, happens with him. And then also, we got a question from DomeGoer9 on YouTube, and he said, do you think Traquan Smith will be a big part of our offense like Mike Thomas was in 2016, or is he going to be more like a Brandon Coleman type player? So I think he's going to be somewhere in the middle, and I think that's just, he's going to be a big play player that gets us first downs like he was at UCF, and I think he could do something. He's not going to do as big as Mike, who had 92 catches, over 1,100 yards and 9 TDs. And I think he'll do a little more than Coleman with 23 catches, 364 yards and 3 TDs. I think it'll be something like 60 catches, 800 yards, 6 TDs, something like that. And I think he's going to be a really good player, maybe 750 yards. I hope he, is very, very good because I got him as a sleeper in my fantasy team. So I think, he's going to be a really good player. I think he's really shown a lot of potential that, he can do. And later, I think he could be a great, second wide receiver to Mike Thomas later in his career. But I think he's going to be, a really good player. And then our third question is also from Zoe D109 on Twitter. And she asked, what do you think of the new sign on the bridge that tells opponents they're entering their last moments of silence? So I think this is great. It's great, showmanship, kind of show their opponents that this is it. Once you step foot in that dome, it's going to be loud as can be, and you're going to hear it, and you should be scared of it. We have a 12th man, and it's the loudest stadium in the league. We got dome field advantage, especially how we got our dome mojo back in 2017. I think this is really good, and I think we're gonna have a great home record. I really do. I think 7-8 wins, at least 6. I think we're gonna be a really good home team. And that said, so I just want to say thank you to DomeGoer9 and Zoe D109 for the great questions, and I think it's time to wrap up this podcast. So if you enjoy this podcast, please follow us on Twitter at the Who Dat Dis, on Podomatic at the Who Dat Discussion, and on Instagram at Who Dat Discussion. That'd also be really helpful. And also, please subscribe to our iTunes at the Who Dat Discussion, our Google Play at the Who Dat Discussion, and our YouTube at the Who Dat Discussion. Please leave comments, reviews, and all that fun stuff. It's just really big for me to help expand this podcast. And also, if you like this podcast, please share it. If you share it on Twitter, share it on Instagram, share it on YouTube, share it anywhere. Share it throughout your daily life. If you know some other Saints fans, share it with them if you like it, because that's just really big. Obviously, we're just expanding. I'm really happy with all the expanding we've done in the last 2 months, and it's just to me, it's just I think we've done a great job just connecting with the fans, but I want to do a lot more of that and grow more, and just have a lot of people listen, so we can talk about the Saints, and just so I can connect with the whole Who Dat Nation. I just also want to say thank you for the shout-outs from All Saints Considered and Who Dat and NYC. They also do a really good job. You should go check them out if you haven't already. And with all that said, I want to say, prove them right, thank you, and Who Dat.